Sir, thank you so much, first of all, for giving your time. A very warm welcome to the Interspecies Conclave and Atria University. You've been in wildlife conservation in Karnataka for pretty much all your life. Now, before I dig any deeper into those questions, I would love to know about your work in Karnataka's wildlife conservation.
See, I would like to emphasize that Karnataka is one of the best states in the entire country in terms of protection and conservation. Take, for example, in wildlife, we are number one in terms of elephant population, having more than 6,000 elephants in one state of the 30,000 elephants in the country. We are the front runners in conservation. Take, for example, all the flagship species such as tiger, the lion-tailed macaque, the leopards, whatever you take, it's a great proud for all of the people in Karnataka that we are number one in the country in terms of conservation and protection. In that way, the method of conservation and protection in the entire country, we have been a model for that. So I feel that people working in the forest department and the cooperation of the people in and around the fringe areas of the forest and in large the people of the state have contributed enormously for to be number one in the country. In that terms, forest department and we working in the forest department are very proud of this thing that we are able to conserve the one of the best hotspot in the entire universe.
Thank you for your response, sir. So now with wildlife conservation, I think one thing that no one can deny is how technology, artificial intelligence is playing a role. Be it geomapping or tagging and or data analysis for animals which are in a natural park or so. Now, what do you again for a very for the context of Karnataka, how relevant do you think is the involvement of tech in wildlife conservation? If you can give a few examples, maybe from your experience or the best practices, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I know that protection conservation is not the way similar with which we used to do 20, 25 years back. When we joined the department, we did not have much of the technology. After a period of 10, 15 years, we thought that how the technology, we have been seeing how the technology came into the department in terms of initially when you used to see the tiger camera trapping method. That was the first technology I remember what we saw. So camera trapping the tiger movements was one of the first technology we brought in. Later on, we separately have a department for the technology introduction. We call it as Information Communication and Technology Department in the R&D Bhavan headquarters, where we use technology for a lot of things, right from patrolling the wildlife areas, the protected areas, what we call, and up to the scientific method of estimation or getting the population done for all the species, flagship species which we were talking about. So in terms of GIS system coming into the area and the latest method of patrolling, the e-timber method, the e-nursery method, the e-swatu method. So we have a lot of technology coming into it. So at a click of your button, you'll be able to know what the species are there in your nursery and what is the demand of the people, how much have been distributed, and what is the green cover you are having in your state, or what is the percentage of forest in large. If you want to calculate all these things, earlier it was a very difficult method. Surveying the entire country or the state would have been a very enormous difficult task for us. But by the introduction of technology, we are now able to do things in a much better, precise manner, in a much advanced manner. We will be able to do a lot of things which we used to take years together to do. That is now how the department is going ahead with.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Sure. Thank you, sir. Sir, now one thing that I think you would be the best person to respond to is the human-animal conflict. We hear a lot about how, how tigers escaped from jungle, their natural habitat, attacked humans or elephants, so and so. And I think this has been going on for a while. And again, while deforestation is at the peak of it. But again, from your perspective and experience of working in forests of Karnataka, how do you think we can address human-animal conflict and let both of them live peacefully?
Yeah, I know. because of late, this is one of the most hot topic we are dealing with, human-animal conflict. See, forests have been fragmented nowadays. There is a lot of fragmentation in the different wide range of landscape we have, mostly human-dominated landscapes we have. So when we take an entire stretch of forest, for kilometers together, if you have the forest area, it may not be the difficult thing to tackle. But when you have patches of forest, islands of forest in between, and we want to bridge those forests, we don't have space because of the intensive development activities taking in and around the forest areas, especially the bridging of the forest areas, what we call earlier, we used to have corridors like connecting spaces for the movement or migration of the wildlife. The entire policy has to be in strict sense of conservation. Otherwise, the issue of human-animal conflict, or you take for example now, the peak of conflict is between elephant and human conflict, which we have been seeing. Almost, we have casualties on both the sides. We lose elephants, we lose people. 500 people for the last 10 years we have lost, and we have been losing 50 or so much elephants in the state every year. Due to various reasons, this have been casualties have been happening on both the sides. So in order to come out a solution for this conflict, we need to have a coexistence between humans and wildlife. For example, if you see, as I was telling, there are more than 6,000 elephants in the state. Not all the 6,000 elephants come out and do havoc in the human-dominated landscape. A few of the elephants, 1 or 2%, may come out. And if we are able to live in coexistence and learn how to coexist with these issues, then definitely conservation as well as human life, both will be able to sustain. Whether it is tiger-human conflict, whether it is leopard-human conflict, these two, especially elephant-human and leopard-human conflicts are on peak now. If you go to a drier areas like Bellary and such areas, we see bear and human conflict. So these things are happening, and we do not want to lose either the human life or the wildlife. Both are important for us. The thing is that we have to sustain ourselves from advancing into development activities, even through those core areas or the fringe areas, whatever we are dealing with it. It should be very sensible manner. So even though we give compensation or the ex gratia, but who is going to give compensation for wildlife loss? The question is that we lose wildlife, who is answerable for that? But if you lose a human life, we'll be giving 15 lakh rupees compensation. We're talking in terms of monetary thing. It's not a big thing, but still we want to keep people in that way of sustainability and endurance level. So I feel that almost activities in and around the areas, eco-sensitive zone areas, all these activities should be controlled in such a way that we have to give space for wildlife as well as human activities.
So, sir, great that you talked about the finance and financial security bit. Now, I want to translate this to my next question. Now, when we talk about interspecies movement, the whole idea is to financially secure animals for conservation, where you want to create a digital twin and let someone pay for example, an elephant will be able to pay off to the tusker to not in order to not being killed. Now, there's one thing, sir, which is the idea of the movement, and there's one is which is ground reality or implementation. So if I translate this into doing it for, let's say, an elephant at the Bandipur Reserve, how do you think this will benefit that elephant or the animals which are endangered or which are living in such reserves?
No, what I'm thinking this in a different perspective. Like donating money for conservation of wildlife is different from the protection and the conservation of actual wildlife in the field. So donating money in other terms is different from what we are thinking in the department. So we really are not bothered about the donations here. Whatever thing government has given us, we are doing the best possible work in whatever capacities we do. So in that way, I don't think that we will be able to entertain all the people who are going to donate us. It is true that CSR activities do take place in certain part of our field, but not everything. Even though we may have some good companies giving us vehicles for conservation protection duty, or we may fund them for certain zoo activities for upkeeping of the elephants or tigers or something like that, where we see in Bannerghatta Zoo or Mysore Zoo or somewhere like that. There's a different angle that what we take it. And the true thing is, the protected areas, which are our core area of working, actually doesn't need any help, in my sense.
Thank you. Sir, my final question to you will be, now here at Atria, we specialize in interdisciplinary STEM education. Like, we are teaching our students to not look into a problem from one lens, but from multiple lenses, which I think today with modern problems, they need a modern solution for a problem solving approach. Now, when we talk of the interspecies movement, how do you think that a university like Atria, what is the kind of role this university can play, having pioneering the interspecies movement itself? Uh, do you think that it could bring any value, especially with the kind of students, the young mindsets that we are setting right at the very inception? If you could have 2 words for it, that will be excellent. Thank you.
For the first thing, I have to congratulate Atria University for coming up with such a beautiful program or a seminar sort of thing, where people ought to know that what is interspecies conclave and what it actually means. See, when I was talking about the curriculum, we have very few universities or the areas where, for example, subjects like wildlife management, subjects such as research in wildlife, such as advocacy in wildlife areas, forest and wildlife. Very few people come to know that they have a career out of this field.
Correct.
And they can really contribute to a larger perspective. I'm not talking about a country or a state. The issues of wildlife and forest is a global level one. And people who are coming out of this, because when we used to study environmental science at my period of 1995 or 96, that was very few people, 4 or 5 people used to take up post-graduation, because we did not have any job opportunities here. You had to go to different European countries to study pollution level of science or something like that. Today, it is not like that. People have to come out and seek areas which are normally these two, the engineering and the medicine field is not the only field now. You have to come out and seek other areas where your contribution will be much more than what you are contributing from outside. So we need a breed of people who can really contribute to science and technology in terms of biodiversity conservation, in terms of wildlife management, in terms of bringing people to the wildlife and forestry areas for more contribution of protecting it in terms of biodiversity. So technology is coming inside. We need good people, good minds to come into the field and contribute more to the conservation of biodiversity. We need universities like Atria to come up with new field of science, especially in botany, zoology, the basic science I'm talking about, and come up with a specialized field like wildlife management and research work. That would be great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Cut.